Hey plant friends, it's Cece with One Green Pea. Today I want to talk to you about this magnificent plant, the money tree. As you may have noticed, money tree or money plant is a ridiculously common name. In fact, I know of at least 3 other plants that are very often referred to as the money plant. The pothos, the jade, and the pilea. Now, none of these plants are even botanically similar to this plant, the money tree or Pachira aquatica. So I just wanted to straighten that up. I want to bring you in a little closer so you can see some of the cool features of the Pachira aquatica. Most often when you purchase a Pachira aquatica, it will come as with a braided trunk. The braided trunk is made up of separate stems, separate plants essentially. And as they're braided, they come all the way up and then emerge into actually separate stems. Now, some of them are cut off. This one, we can trace this one all the way up. And as you can see, this stem has many of these smaller stems that we call petioles because the petioles attach the leaflets to the main stem. Each of the leaflets is in a set. Very often there are 6 leaves, but sometimes there's more, sometimes there's less. Now the older leaves are larger. And then as we get to the newer ones, they're smaller. And then they start off as this teeny tiny little, let me see if I can focus on that, little baby sets. And I've got those all over this plant. So growth is quite active. The Pachira aquatica can be a rather vigorous grower. I have had my plant for almost a year, and this is what it looked like when I got it then. So as you can see, I've had a lot of vertical growth as well as a general fullness or rounding out. So let's talk about the care needs. As far as light goes, the Pachira aquatica prefers bright, indirect light. Just like all of your tropicals, it doesn't want to be directly in a blast of the sun, but it wants a good amount of light throughout the day. Mine is about 3 to 4 feet away from a bank of south-facing windows, and it's quite happy there. Let's talk about some of the concerns you might have with the money tree. Number 1, it is non-toxic for your pets. So it is safe to have around your cats, your dogs, your rabbits, your whatever household pets you might have. One of the main problems that we see with the Pachira aquatica is yellowing or dropping of leaves. And that could come from a variety of causes. It could come from overwatering. It could come from underwatering. It could come from pests. I haven't noticed this plant to be particularly susceptible to any of the most common pests, and I hope I'm not jinxing myself by saying that, but it's been rather healthy. Now, leaf drop is normal to some extent. Let me show you. Before I started filming this today, I wanted my plant to look as good as possible. So these are the leaves that I snapped off. Now, I am not concerned about this because, first of all, they came from down low on the plant, which indicates that they're older leaves. And older leaves die. They just die. They just do. That's a part of it. They have served their need to the plant and they're done. I also inspected them. I don't see any sort of pest damage or pest activity. So like I said, it just happens sometimes. I've also read that the Pachira aquatica can be kind of cranky and doesn't like being moved around. Now I just about a week ago, took him all the way outside and gave him a shower, and then moved him all the way back in, and then I moved him in here for the video, and he seems okay. So I'm not sure if I subscribe to the belief that they are cranky. But anyway, try not to move him very often. Let's talk about propagation. The Pachira aquatica is easy enough to propagate. Most commonly it's done by stem cutting. Easy but slow. So just know that this isn't a plant like maybe the pothos that will root out in a week. This is a plant that will take a month or 2 months, more on the lines of like a ZZ plant. But it's really easy. So I'm going to bring you in close and show you exactly how I'm going to do it. My plant has had a bit of asymmetrical growth. This one stem has grown super long, and so I want to make it the shape a little fuller, a little rounder. So I'm going to trim off this stem right here. I'm going to propagate it and see if I can make another smaller plant. So what I'm going to do as far as a stem cutting is I want to cut beneath one of these leaf nodes. The leaf nodes, remember, are where you're going to get the roots coming out. And so the cutting that I take, I want to have at least 2 of those nodes that will go in the water. So I can actually trim this back and make a couple of separate cuttings from that. So I'll do that right now. So these little leaves that I cut off will not root because there's no node on there, but I think they're pretty. So I'm going to put them in water and put them on my table because I like them. Now I mentioned that I would probably make a second cutting along this stem because it is quite long. And so I'm going to cut right here beneath this one. Same way. I will remove the bottom node, back the bottom 2 nodes, because I've got new growth on here. And then I have more leaves for my little display. And I have 2 cuttings to put in water. So I'm going to do that now. Oh, I want to show you one more thing. When you take a cutting like this and you take a double cutting on a stem, you can see I'm left here with this top end, and that isn't going to do anything. And so the best thing to do is just snip that right off as well. And then that little part will callus over, and you won't end up with just a funny empty stem on your plant. So I will put that in water. So there you have it, the Pachira aquatica, or the money tree. I hope that if you don't yet have one in your collection, perhaps I've inspired you to take a look at this really cool tree plant that would make a great tropical flair for your home. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. As always, give me a like and a subscribe before you leave, and feel free to share my channel with other people so we can grow together. Until next time, my plant friends, let's keep growing together a greener world.